Town of Woodbridge Board of Finance monthly meeting for Thursday, March 17th, 2022. And the first item on the agenda is public comments. Karen, you have no emails? Karen?
I received no emails, Matt.
Is there anyone, someone attending who'd like to speak? Hello? Karen?
I unmuted them, so.
Okay. Who is it? Do we know? If there's someone out in the audience who'd like to speak, please do so now. All right.
There is a screen that's labeled meetings, but it's on mute. So I don't know if that's a problem or. Anyway.
Susan, that's Pua.
Okay.
She's like a backup host, and that's how it comes through.
Are you still showing somebody, Karen? Okay, well, we're going to move on. We'll see what happens. We could always, if someone wants to make a comment, we can always get back to that. So the first item on our agenda, or the second item on our agenda, is Administrative Officer, Director of Finance report. Tony. Tony, you ready?
Here, yeah. I was just had to, unmute.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, Matt. I have the monthly report through February 2022, and the monthly report shows a year-end estimated surplus of $663,000. The town, as you know, includes an allocation from fund balance of $400,000. So that means that the actual fund balance increase or surplus applied to fund balance at the end of the year is projected to be $262,000. This leaves our fund balance just at $7 million, or 13.5% of our expenditures. Intergovernmental revenue is projected to generate the biggest surplus here, which is $434,000. That comes in a few areas. The first is the town received FEMA funds, as you all know, $163,000, which is for reimbursements of a storm for the prior year. Additionally, we received $15,000 in pilot funds we did not anticipate. We have a slight surplus of $23,000 in education cost sharing funds when the grant was increased after the budget was adopted. So there's a slight increase there. And the last item, which is probably the biggest item and the biggest change from last month to this month, is that we received special education excess cost grants, which is a grant that we receive. It's generated from the Board of Education applying for a reimbursement of special education costs in excess of 4.5 times their per pupil cost. And so in any event, there's a $230,000 surplus in that account, as the Board of Education did an excellent job this year rather, of applying for those funds. And so that's our biggest source of our surplus. Without that, we were pretty much right on budget with our in our year-end results. The investment income is projected to experience a deficit of $75,000. I know rates were just increased slightly, so we maybe see some movement on that in the coming months. And finally, department charges a surplus of just under $200,000. There's a $35,000 surplus in transfer station fees, and the biggest one is a $775,000 surplus in building permits, mainly generated from the in large part by the project for the Water Authority is doing for the upgrade of their facility. So those are some of the major revenue items which are major contributors to the surplus.
Okay.
For expenditures, I'm just going to highlight the major items. We had some turnover in our building official position, and that'll generate a surplus in about $25,000 in that account, in that department budget. We're tracking the transfer station budget closely. It's possible we may need additional funds for some of our waste disposal costs, some increased municipal solid waste tonnage at the transfer station. That is a revenue generating item, however, so any additional tonnage will most likely be offset by additional revenue, so we can transfer those funds at that time. The library and human services both experiencing a surplus of 30,000 at the library and 20,000 in human services, mainly due to timing of programs related to COVID and surpluses in part-time wages for each department. And finally, a small surplus of $20,000 in benefits, somewhat related to the surplus in part-time wages. So those are the highlights for the month.
So Tony, let me understand this. Special education excess cost grants. Is this the state giving us money that we've already spent for special education?
It's
In excess, I know, in excess of some crazy
correct.
number.
That's correct. Right.
Okay.
So we budget. It's really a difficult thing to budget at the beginning of a year because there are so many factors involved. In the formula that the state has, the population at the school, the cost related to it. So we have to estimate what we think. It's not formulary like ECS or pilot or town road aid or a lot of the other ones we get a lot of them are formulary, and their formulas are set during the session, and then once the session is over, you know how much you're getting. This one is based on experience, and therefore is, you have to track it closely.
Okay. Any questions for Tony on that? Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report, I guess maybe Tom will cover this, but if I'm reading it correctly, they have a deficit of about $3,200 at this point. Is that right? I'm looking at. We'll ask Tom to comment on that.
Yeah, which is down a little bit from what was earlier projected, so they're doing well.
All right. Anything else, Tony?
No, that's it, Matt.
Okay.
Matt, could I just say something? I wonder if Karen should try once more. I feel if somebody is trying, wanted to come to speak in public comment,
Yeah, go ahead.
if there's some problem that Karen can fix, because just to check on it. I guess she'd tell us if she could, but Karen?
Yeah. You there?
I can unmute them and see if anyone wants to.
Go ahead.
Hi, Donovan.
Hey guys, I had a tough time connecting to WebEx today for some reason.
Really?
This guy.
My
We could talk about that later. Yeah, I know that experience.
I did as well. Everyone who's on as an attendee is unmuted if they wanted to make a public comment.
Is there anybody who'd like to make a comment out there?
What's that?
Who's that?
That
you want one?
you want to try it? I think one time I tried that before.
Yes, no.
Okay.
We're looking for someone of voting age or close.
All right. Why don't we move on? To
Thank
funding
you, Karen.
requests.
Be careful what you wish for. That's all. Okay.
Funding requests. Okay. There's several. Okay. The first is a transfer from the Bethwood Baseball League. This is an annual thing. For the cost of providing toilets and overtime related to league tournaments. There's a memo from Dwight regarding this, and this has been an annual event for many years, so I have no problem with this, and I'll move acceptance so we can talk if we need to. Line item transfer 2122-09 in the amount of $3,000. Any
Second.
questions or comments? No?
Am I allowed to make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. This is money that the league gives the town every year in the amount of 3,000. We put it in a, I guess, a grant fund or something. And then, so it's just a pass through at this point. We thank the Farmers League for doing that every year. It's wonderful. So thank you.
All right, so I'll go with that. I'm gonna be a yes. Susan,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dwight,
Yes.
Donovan.
Yes.
Next. Okay. Next is a request for funding. This is coming out of contingency for $10,000 to fund a professional planner and/or attorney to assist town planning and zoning to review and make updates and revisions as necessary to the zoning regulations. I guess this request is a letter from Christine Sullivan. And so we can discuss it. I'll move acceptance of funding request 2122-10 in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
Okay. Anybody, Tony, anything you want to say about this? Or?
I do actually. So this was a request in next year's budget.
Oh,
So
okay.
we removed the request from next year's budget, and we're plan is to fund it this year with contingency.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Before, well, let's vote on this now. I'll ask you the question. Any other comments or questions on this?
I was sort of curious how did they do this before, or is this just sort of would this be a one-time planner?
Yes. So this is on an as needed basis. By the way, it's not a fixed amount, and that's just an estimate of how much they think it'll cost, and it's to clean up some of the regulations from when some of the regulations that were created a few years ago. There's some missing references. There's some tables that are missing. There's some language that needs to be cleaned up. And part of the plan is to put the regulations on the website in a searchable format so that residents and others can easily search the zoning regs. As opposed to having a big one PDF where you have to sort of search through it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Tom?
Yes.
Donovan?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Susan?
An enthusiastic yes.
Okay, and Ellen?
Yes.
Okay. Next is line item transfer for government access television of $1,500 to fund a shortage in budget line for production personnel. See attached memo from PUA, which I'm sure we all looked at. Well, I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2122-11 in the amount of $1,500.
Second.
I think Ellen got it. Okay. Questions, comments, whatever. Okay. I'm a yes. Ellen?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Not enthusiastic this one?
Oh, no, terribly enthusiastic. Forgot.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Donovan?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Where am I here? The request is in two parts. Okay, this is a line item transfer to fund overtime due to winter storms and fallen trees on roads, as well as equipment parts due to higher than normal need this year. So I guess I'm looking, Tony, I see 30, then I see 10, then I see 5.
So there's 30, I can explain on this one here. So on this request, you want to put it on, you want to vote first and then I can.
All right, I'm going to move acceptance of line item transfer 2122-12 in the amount of $40,000.
Second.
Okay, Tony.
Okay, I'll explain. So this is within the Public Works Department. They were able to find funding for their snow removal costs due to some wage turnover and wages. And so the transfer for this one is from $40,000 from Public Works highway wages to $30,000 in overtime and $10,000 in equipment parts. That's the first transfer. We did them in two just because they're from different lines. We didn't want to get it confusing as it is here.
We want to approve the 40 first,
Yes,
and the 5 is separate.
the 5 separate for materials for sand, for salt, basically.
Okay, so this is good news, and instead of.
Yeah, so in other words, you don't have to take contingency, right?
Instead of tapping our contingency for, which we usually have to do for snow.
Right.
Any within their department, very good. This is very.
We're on the very limit, though. If we had any more storms, we would have had to go into
Oh, it's
contingency.
all over. It's all over. Last time I said that, we got 3 more storms.
We hope.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this? Okay, I'm a yes. Susan,
Yes.
Donovan,
Yes.
White,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so then the second part, Tony, is a $5,000 transfer.
Right. This is for salt.
That's for salt.
It comes from a different line. That's the only reason why we did it.
Oh, okay, all right.
It comes from road maintenance.
Then I'm gonna move acceptance of line item transfer 2122-13 in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
Okay, so this is pretty self-explanatory. They just want to purchase some additional treated salt for next year. So I'm a yes. Susan,
Yes.
Donovan,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dwight.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's it.
That's it.
Again, kudos to well, that's such good news because now that leaves us more money in our contingency to hopefully offset things from next year's budget. That's always a good. Usually, like I said, we tap it. So good, very good. All right, next we have a bunch of minutes to approve. We'll start with January 25th, which was a joint Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen. I think it was one of our budget meetings. Yes, it was, when Scott Bassett came and presented. So I will move acceptance of the minutes of January 25th as presented.
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions, anything? No? Okay. I'm a yes. Tom,
Yes.
Donovan,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
did I miss anybody?
And Dwight.
Dwight, okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, next is. I'm on the wrong page there, excuse me a minute. Okay, what am I doing here? Come on.
Matt, this is Beth. For the record, last at the Board of Selectmen meeting, Jerry Weiner, Town Council, said we could do them all together, so we did.
Okay, all right.
That'll help you.
Yeah, I gotta find them.
In the interest of time.
I printed
Easier
was
if we could.
acting crazy today. I have a feeling that it didn't print them. I got the first one. Okay. Give me 2 minutes.
Do you want me to read the dates, Matt?
Yeah, no, I got the agenda. I can read the dates, but I think I missed. I think it
Okay.
printed- I think it printed the, well, what's this one? 25th. Yeah, that's all I have. Okay. All right, the minutes of January 27th, that was another budget hearing, Karen?
That's correct.
Okay. Any comments, questions, corrections on that, on January 27th? Okay, February 1st, again, was a budget hearing. Any comments, questions on that? All right. February 17th was our regular monthly meeting. Anything on that? Okay, and then finally, March 3rd, that was our hearing on the budget, when we discussed the budget. Anything on that? Which again, we're gonna be doing tonight, so. Okay, so then I will make a motion that we approve the minutes of January 25th, 27th, February 1st, February 17th, and March 3rd.
I'll second that.
Okay, I assume there are no comments, so I'm a yes. Susan?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Donovan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's everybody. All righty, next is the first selectman's report. Beth?
Thank you, Matt. I'll be brief because the Board of Finance has a lot of work to do this evening. So just a synopsis of March 9th. I read a proclamation in support of the people of Ukraine. It is on the town website if you'd like to see that. We had a presentation from the 4-H group, and we voted unanimously to grant permission to the Woodbridge 4-H group project to add Woodbridge to the pollinator pathway and to present a proclamation on Earth Day, which will be April 23rd. We approved, the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to continue the practice of waiving the bulky waste fees for institutions of faith up to $200 for the balance of this fiscal year and FY 2023. We adopted a motion to approve concerning a bond commission approval of to get the $300,000 for the senior center. We may have to revisit that regarding some legal confusion. So we might have a special Board of Selectmen meeting this coming Wednesday night. I haven't heard anything yet, but and I think lastly, we voted following an executive session to unanimously to take no action on the Arbor Haven proposal. Is someone there?
Yeah.
I,
Anyone can tell them to mute?
yeah.
Karen can mute.
I'll keep going, I guess, but it's very quick. We voted unanimously to take no action on the Arbor Haven proposal for development of the former country club until after the housing committee at least gives us their preliminary recommendations and report. And that was the synopsis of the meeting. Thanks.
Okay. Item 6 is liaison reports.
One good news, we're in yellow today.
Oh, good. Does that mean we're looking like the
Couple
budget
more
hearing
weeks
will
of
be
yellow,
live?
and yeah, we're going. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, liaison reports. Amity met Monday night. Nothing urgent, but the full board approved the reduction in their budget to 3.99%, which was very, very a good thing, because if they didn't, we would be meeting forever to try and come up with a number. So that, if you notice on the list we're going to be talking about in a few minutes, that lowers our budget by $157,126. So I thank the Amity Board of Education for agreeing to a reduction, and I thank Superintendent Byers and Terry for being able to come up with the necessary reductions to make that happen. So that was a good start to get our budget lowered a bit. So that's it for me. Let's see. Dwight, you always have something.
Yep. I attended the Woodbridge Rec Department meeting on February 28th. For Johnny, everything's going fairly well. They spoke about the volleyball program and that it started in 2004 and it's going very well. They currently have 6 teams, adult teams that compete year round. And they use the country club, the sand court at the country club a lot. About the pool is going to close on March 20th. There was an issue with the drain and there's some leaks that they have to. But one of the good things about it is that once they drain the pool, they can do their normal annual maintenance on it. So they don't have to close it later on in the summer, so they can do it all now.
Hey, Dwight, I actually have an update on that.
Okay.
Just so we have there's no confusion on this. So based on the timing of what is necessary to be done to address the leak and some of the schedule surrounding the use of the pool and the fact that the leak is not major and is not, according to our expert, we had an engineer review and look at the pool. doesn't anticipate it will get any worse. We collectively decided that with the rec department and with the maintenance crew, that the best time to close the pool is mid-August. So
Okay.
that we don't have any problems with, running into the summer, or if there's a problem where we have to address, we wanted to keep the pool open for the camp. So,
Okay.
so we decided on mid-August to mid-September to close the pool.
Good
That's
news.
it.
That's good
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Okay, the fitness center was going fine. Um, um, all the programs after school are going strong, according to John. The ice rink was used for 15 days, which was really good. It was, during that cold spell, and now everything's down. So, other than that, looks like they're on track with their budget. They're a little behind now, but they always catch up. The camp, so that's one of the good things. And I also attended, Human Services. They're meeting on March 7th. For you on youth services, they dropped off over 150 week care kits at New Reach in New Haven for the homeless, along with NAS, and they had a lot of essentials and all that for them, which was really good. They also made over for Valentine's Day over 200 Valentines, which were made by students and others in the community for all the local seniors. Okay, which really proved out to be a big hit. They're having a paint party at the middle school on April 29th. I guess they have an artist coming in and they're going to be doing some work there. There's a 6th grade party at the middle school on April 1st that Youth Services will be hosting. There's an 8th grade party at Amity High School, including the 8th grade with Orange on April 22nd. That's to get all the kids together and all that. And there will be an end of school bash on May 13th. And then the first Selectman's Youth Award. All the nominations are due by April 4th. But it looks like a lot of them are coming in right now. So, Senior Center is back in person right now for their activities. But at the end of February, they started coming back, which a lot of the older seniors were happy with. On February 17th, they had a super sweet drive-through luncheon, which 95 residents took part of. They also had a St. Patty's Day luncheon drive-through today. So I don't know how that went, but I understand, but they had a lot of requests for lunch. Earth Day will be celebrated in town on April 23rd. And staffing, they're looking for a driver. I guess they had a driver who had to reduce his hours or he had to leave because of some personal issues. For Human Services, there was the VITA program that helps seniors with their tax returns is going really well and is being used a lot. The blood drive. There was a blood drive held on March 6th at Center, and from what I heard, all spots were filled and used, which was good news. And then renovations, they talked a little bit still about the renovations at the Senior Center, still working on the budget to refine it. They're focusing in on the mechanical system right now. So, and they're hopeful they can get that going soon. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Donovan, do you have anything?
The fire commission meeting scheduled for Monday has been canceled. One previous to that was on February 16th, a month ago. So nothing new to share.
Okay. Ellen. Unmute.
The police commission is meeting this coming Monday, so I have no report.
Okay. Susan.
The library commission did meet, however, I was unable to make it, so I have no report.
Okay. Tom, where are you? Out there somewhere.
So the Board of Ed had a special meeting to revise mask policy when Governor Lamont, decided that as of March 1st, each district could decide on their own. The board met and had a good discussion about masks. The end result of which was that they decided that masks were optional starting March 7th. I think it all's gone smoothly. They did ask Dr. Budd to figure out some metrics in case, keep our fingers crossed, but in case COVID gets worse again, to go back to masks. The next Board of Ed meeting is on Monday, but there was a Board of Ed finance meeting. Few things that could be of interest to this group is one, there, and Tony will correct me if I misspeak, there's some talk that their MRF contribution might go up another 1% this year. And there's also some legislation up in Hartford discussing whether they will change that excess cost grant. Right now it is, one size fits all. I think they're discussing a tiered approach. And given Woodbridge per capita income, our excess grant reimbursement may go down. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
You're full of good news, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah, always. And then Dr. Budd also sort of reviewed what they had done with the COVID relief funds, the ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and the ARP ESSER. They pretty much allocated all the ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 funds. ARP ESSER 20% needs to be spent on, shall we say, remediating any educational issues that arose due to COVID. Dr. Budd is planning on using that over the summer to sort of bring kids back up to speed. And the rest of it, I think we'll discuss when we get to the budget hearing. The overall budget, as we know, it started out with a deficit. It's slowly decreasing over the year, as is the usual. It's down to a deficit of about $3,000 right now. So they're continuing to do that. Richard is, I think, doing a really good job to sort of go back and make sure that each of the line items is being used appropriately and cleaning up some things of that way, which I commend them for.
Okay, thank you. I guess that's everybody, huh? Okay. Item 7 on our agenda is, of course, the biggest part of our meeting, which is to review and act on Board of Finance fiscal year 23 budget recommendations, operating in capital to the preliminary budget hearing. Needless to say, the vast majority of the discussions we've had have been about the Woodbridge Board of Education. But Tony, and going through all this with Tony, we've come up with, or he's come up with, this list that we all have, I assume. Mm-hmm. Budget adjustments, everybody have that? Okay. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to have Tony run through these and go through what the thinking was on doing what we did here. I think it'll clarify a lot of these things. So Tony, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's the first section of the budget adjustments are in revenues. So there are two proposed revenue adjustments. The first is to increase transfer station fees by $50,000. The town has just instituted a fee for bulky waste. And so we feel that we can adjust the fee revenue by $50,000 in anticipation of collections for that. In addition, our MSW is going up. Our tonnage is going up, so that's also a fee generating item. And so we feel that that will also generate additional revenue for us. The pilot grant is the second one, and that's for $15,419. And this was an addition on the governor's recommended budget. So those are the two revenue items. They total $65,419. As you know, some of these items continue to materialize as we go through the budget process, and will continue to as we approach the public hearing. So we'll keep you informed of any other adjustments that we are aware of. The second is capital. Just one more comment on revenue. What is not here yet, and what I have not recommended, is changing the mill rate and for the auto tax cap. And I'm a little hesitant to do that based on what I've heard so far. So
yeah.
Secondly is in capital. And I'm not sure of many towns that have done it either. That's the other thing I want to mention. On capital, there's a few suggestions. The first is the air packs, and that was for $100,000. And our thought here is that we would lease those like we've done in the past. The last 2 times we've gotten air packs of this quantity, we've leased them, and I think we can continue to do that. This will allow us to reduce the budget by $100,000. The Board of Education has indicated that they've secured some grant funding for their retro commissioning and network wiring capital project, which was $40,000. And so we removed that from the capital budget. So that was good news for us. The road paving was reduced by $70,000. This still leaves us with $680,000 in road paving, and is an increase from, I think, $500,000 from last year. We have cut that the last few years, so I didn't want to really cut that much of that, but that's what that suggestion is. The contingency fund has
$135,000.
just getting that page, 135,000. So I've put in this estimate 110, leaving $25,000 in contingency in case something comes up. I'm not aware of anything at the moment, but in case something comes up, we can always adjust this later on if we want to. I would use those reductions to remove items from the capital budget and pay for them out of contingency this year, and that can reduce it by $110,000. The last is to create a capital reserve account with the remaining Amity surplus funds. That's $283,700. And then those funds will be used to support the capital budget next year. Okay, so that's $603,000 in adjustments to the capital budget. Finally, in the operating budget, there's, as we discussed most of these last time at the last meeting, I'll just review them. There's the elimination of the new officer in the police department. That's $125,000. There is still in the police budget the sergeant's promotion of a sergeant, additional sergeant for supervision. But the as the board discussed at the last meeting, the extra police officer was eliminated for the coming year. There's a number of minor adjustments in town clerk, $2,000, and in fire, $2,000 in medical expense, and repair and maintenance, $5,000 and $2,000 in 2 of those accounts. Finally, in human services, this is actually an addition. If you recall, Jeanette sent a request to restore funds to her budget, which you received at your last meeting. And although her budget was cut approximately $10,000, she had requested $2,968 be restored, which she outlined in her memo, and this restores that funding. Rentals of equipment in parks, Adam has indicated that he made some adjustments in some of the rent the bathrooms in some of the locations and was able to save $2,000. Those are the outdoor bathrooms. Finally, this is one item that we are continuing to get more information on. That's our healthcare. So there's a reduction of the town healthcare of $56,000 and retiree healthcare of $42,000. That's a combination of changes in coverage for employees and additional information on our rates for next year. We'll continue to stay tuned on that as we approach the budget hearing. As Matt indicated, Amity has a reduction of $157,126. And even though the Amity budget was at 3.99% as a whole, our portion, because of enrollment shifts, is 5.66% increase. And finally, the Woodbridge Board of Education increase is at a 5% increase. So that's a reduction from the Selectman's recommendation of $610,016. I will, however, mention that as part of this budget, we would recommend that the town transfer a portion of the excess cost grant to the Board of Education directly next year. So it would be a direct payment to them. They would receive the funds directly. That's $167,500. So it's not really a budget item that's done in other towns, and that would be part of this proposal. So we would still keep a portion in our budget as a revenue item, and the board would receive a portion also. So if you take all those adjustments, the result is a 1.99% mill rate increase for fiscal year 23.
Okay. Comments, questions, suggestions, anybody?
Can we just talk about the Board of Ed a little bit, just to
Sure.
clarify if there are people who are listening? So we're proposing reducing their percent increase down, I think I'd said, Tony, I think you said to 5% off of the
Current year's budget.
current, and that was down from what the Board of Selectmen did, which was 8.9.
Yes, correct.
And I understand so that, Dr. Budd has pointed out that because of salaries and special ed requirements, he felt that he needed 5.9 to sort of maintain the status quo with the addition of the new special ed. Just to clarify, we're currently proposing 5, but my understanding is that Dr. Budd has found other funding, so he's comfortable with that, and they will be able to. I mean, we're not allowed to tell them how to spend the money, but my understanding is that the plan would be to hire another half a social worker and make some other changes to improve on the education. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. And then the addition of the portion of the excess cost grant. Don't forget that also.
So that would make it more than 5%.
Right. It effectively would be based on the items that Tom mentioned in the excess cost grant. It would be 6.74% effectively, even though the taxpayer portion is only 5%.
Right. Then I just want to clarify that there's been some good discussions going back and forth, and trying to make sure that people understand that the town supports the school, recognizes the need for additional resources because of COVID, and I think we've come up with a pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to call it a compromise, but that we've come to a number that I think that Dr. Budd is I won't put words in his mouth, but I believe is satisfied with, and that the town is satisfied with, which I think is a pretty good place to be.
Okay, anybody else?
Matt, I would just echo Tom's comments, and I wanted to thank Tony so much for the work he did on this, and also Dr. Budd and Richard, and as well as the board members on both sides who have put so much time and effort into coming up with this proposal. The 6.74% was a number that Dr. Budd had sent to us in a document. So I think it was incredibly well done to get us to effectively to that number. I just wanted to ask about 2 other things, but I'll get to those if anyone else wants to comment on Board of Education first.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on the paving, I know, Tony, that we've been reducing it for some time, and I follow the Facebook pages, and I know that people are concerned about the paving. Is there some way to quantify this in terms of how many roads might get done next year, and where we've been in the past? I know you said it's did you say it was down last year?
Yeah, last few years we've cut it back somewhat significantly, and this is up from that, but not to where Warren had requested.
So I just note that as something we really need to keep an eye on when we can, and also the police new officer request. We had been hearing about what we thought were sort of fruitful discussions between the Board of Ed and the police department in terms of the SR and working something out. I take it that did not happen. Is that right? I mean, as far as we know.
It's nothing that we're presenting this evening. I understand there's still discussions taking place, but I'm not sure where those are.
Thank you.
But I know there's still a dialogue between police and Dr. Budd, between police chief and Dr. Budd.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had a quick question, and it's also for Tony. My recollection from years past is the healthcare costs that you're talking about for both the retirees and the workforce fluctuates quite a bit up through the time that we actually finalized this at the preliminary, or actually presented at the preliminary budget hearing. Am I recalling that correctly?
That's correct.
So we don't really know what that number is at this
So
point.
we're closer, I think, this year than we have been in past years, but this is not necessarily the final number. That could
Okay,
change again.
And those figures do not include the Board of Education workforce or retirees. This is just municipal, correct?
Correct. These are just the town employees. They have their own budget
Yeah.
and their own method of calculating their budget.
But that can fluctuate as well.
Can also fluctuate, right?
Okay, thank you.
Tony, for people who are listening and to refresh some of our recollections as well, I think when people see a 1.99% mill rate increase is terrific that we got there from where we started in the budget request, particularly where the boards of education were. But can you translate that to what the average taxpayer in Woodbridge would be paying with that kind of increase?
Yes, I could. Let me pull that up. So this is on an average residential assessment of 288,240, which is the average assessment. The mill rate of 42.64, which was the FY22 mill rate, would generate a tax bill of $12,291. The mill rate of 43.49, which would be presented here this evening, is $12,536, which is an addition of $245.
And just so if people are listening, the 288,240 is 70%.
Oh, right.
That's
Yep.
about right. So
Correct.
we're talking about a home that people would think of as
412,000. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I think just mentioning the roads again, I think if judging on the way we do things in this town, if Warren came to us and there was a road or roads that had to be done that maybe weren't, we would do something. If we had to do a fund balance appropriation, or
We could.
we wouldn't let the road stay in disrepair. So that's important to know. We would never turn our back on a road, let's say. Not that it's a being or anything, but if there was a road that Warren said, look, we really have to do this road, we'd figure out a way to get it done. So we're keenly aware of the road paving work that they do. So okay. So again, 1.99%, if you're paying $13,000 a year in taxes, your taxes are going up $260. And that $260 is going to cover an awful lot of items that are, again, we have to say again and again and again and again, without increased revenue, we really have our hands tied. We can thankfully look at the increase of 1.7% in the grand list this year, primarily due to cars, because cars were worth more this October than last October, and that generated more revenue for every town. People's car taxes are actually going to go up because of that. Not counting what the state's going to do with that other possibility. So again, with a stagnant grand list growth and contractual obligations where we settle with various departments, and invariably they get raises. I think 1.99% is a good result. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to criticize us to the end of the earth that we should have a tax cut or we should have no tax increase. To maintain the level of service in this town that people are used to, this is what we need to do. Again, we immediately reacted to the Human Services Department when they, and as far as I'm concerned, if they need more, I would be more than willing to pull money from contingency or whatever to give them more. We really need to take care of the seniors in this town. I mean, they're a treasure, as we say. So I think I am satisfied with this. And again, I'm obviously the Woodbridge Board of Ed gets the biggest chunk of money by far. And I just hope that we aren't faced with this again next year. This is a big raise. And again, unless I'm wrong, they're adding 20 positions in their budget over this year and next year. And at a time when we're looking to reduce positions, that's a lot of people to be adding. But I don't know that they're going to do that or if they're going to have to scale that back a little with this. But I am satisfied with under 2%. And I'm willing to go to the town budget hearing and town meeting with this. And again, I know we're going to get wildly criticized by a certain group of people like we did at the town meeting last year. Hopefully, we'll be prepared for a more civilized meeting than last year's. And again, I'm willing to stand up there and explain why we'll never have a zero. I mean, unless we're going to start reducing services. And I've gotten no phone calls from people saying, I don't want to pay any more taxes, so cut this, cut this, cut this. I've never gotten that. The people in this town, I think, are very satisfied with the level of service we provide. It's a wonderful, the town has wonderful people who do great work and provide great service. And there's a few. I mean, there's always going to be, you remember at the town meeting, there was 10, 12 maybe who were making claims and wanting to cut things that you just can't cut. And so I'm, yeah.
One other thing, just want to think, I think that another good outcome of this is that it has strengthened the working relationship between the town and the Board of Finance and the Beecher, the Beecher administration and board, and also the new finance director there. So, and I think there'll be a commitment to work together throughout the year. And that's something else that is a very positive outcome of where we've gotten. So again, thank you to everyone who made that happen.
Okay, if there are no other, anybody else? Tony, you want to put a number together, right? And some things we can vote on?
Yes, I'm prepared to read them off as soon as you are ready.
Right. So one last chance. Anybody? Okay, I'm assuming you're in support of the 1.99. So Tony, why don't you give me the number so I can put a motion together?
The total expenditures is 53,824,129.
Okay.
The total non-tax revenues are 3,826,642.
Okay.
The amount to be raised by taxes, 49,997,487.
Okay.
Generates a mill rate of 43.49, which is a 1.99% increase.
Okay. Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve a preliminary budget, which is what this is, to go to the preliminary budget hearing, which will show or reflect total expenses of $53,824,129, non-tax revenues of $3,826,642. The amount to be raised by taxes is $49,997,487, which results in a mill rate of 43.49 mils.
Was that a motion?
That was a motion, yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Right. Again, this is going to be going to the preliminary budget hearing. Remember, it can change from there. It can change at the town meeting, but this is what we're going to be presenting to the town on April 18th. Okay. I'm yes. Susan?
I'm a yes.
Ellen? Yes, she's muted.
Yes. Yes.
Donovan?
Yes, I support it.
Tom?
Yes.
And Dwight?
Yes.
Okay. Tony, again, yeah, I completely concur with Ellen. Thank you very much for your hard work and for putting up with me in between my busy appointments. But I think this is a good result. So thank you to everybody for cooperating. And with that, unless there's anything else, I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second it.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. And I guess the next time we get together will be at the preliminary budget hearing on Monday, April 18th. But no, this was our March meeting. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy the beautiful weather coming up.
Thank